Hello and good morning. It is Friday the 4th of March. Today is non-farm payroll. So on a day like this for me, again, I don't mind taking trades. I know that some of the Gorilla team members don't really look for trades. But again, for me personally, what I've found is that setups typically on non-farm payroll don't really happen, especially with the strategy that we trade. So for me, again, I will only be taking anything that is very, very high probability. So I will keep an eye out. But again, for me, the probability of a high probability setup happening on this day isn't very likely because I tend to find out that we get a bit of a range as well, especially as we come into the time for non-farm payroll. And then once we have the news, we have some volatile markets and we start to range or we just shoot off. So again, just going to be forecasting again for this morning, just to show you guys the thought process of what I'm seeing, and we'll go from there. So in here is the Aussie US dollar. As you can see, we have been on this uptrend, trending very correctively, very nicely, as we would expect for this pair to happen. You can see that again, what's happened here, we've broken the high, retraced, broken the high, retraced. Again, we broke the low, retraced, suggesting we're going to be range bound. But again, what happened after that, we broke the high, came into this area of liquidity, retraced, and now we're just breaking the high. Okay, so again, we are moving up in this very, very corrective manner. Okay, I did explain to you guys why I personally didn't get involved in this or this area here. So I think there was a bullet here. Again, for me, I wanted to wait for this candle here. I said for that in my forecast, and as you can see, it came down pretty aggressively and broke the bullet line. So for me, there wouldn't be a trade there. Then as you can see, we came up, and like I say, we have come up in, again, we're moving up in this very ascending manner. We are breaking the highs and retracing, okay? So again, for me, what am I looking at on this pair? Now, again, like I said, it's NFP. But again, if we start to impulse up, we'll be looking to get involved in a nice continuation flag. Okay, very high probability. Same to the downside. If we impulse down, more than happy to get involved in a nice continuation flag to the downside. Okay, now again, we might come up in this ascending manner. Okay, we know these kind of setups are high probability. When we break the highs retracing in this kind of ascending manner, we see that large ascending in with that smaller ascending, giving us that really nice indication of weakness. Then I start to see what happens next. From there, if we impulse down, more than happy to get involved in a nice continuation flag, very high probability. If we break the low, pull back to this level, we'll be looking for a nice reversal setup, okay? Very, very high probability here, okay? Now for me, again, as we are trending correctively, okay, if we start to, we are seeing some momentum here, but again, if we break this high, pull back to this level, I will be looking to get involved, but again, it all depends on price section, okay? Now again, like I say, it's NFP, so again, to set up like this is unlikely, but again, if it does happen, I'll be looking to take it. But again, it all depends on the price action, okay? Why is that? Well, we're seeing momentum come up, retracing come up. Again, we know this pair likes to move correctively, so as long as I see the nice correct price action, I'll be looking to get involved in that, okay? So again, those are the most probable or likely trades that could possibly appear. So again, I could just say that, hey, we're going to forecast also going down in a corrective manner, but again, this kind of situation will take a lot longer to form, okay? So the ones I've forecasted are the ones that are more probable for me to happen, okay? So that's what I'm looking at on the Aussie US dollar. We are moving up correctively. So again, waiting for better price action to see if I will get involved. Next pair is the Aussie Japanese yen. As you can see, this is really nice. This is a really nice uptrend. We can see that. We can see that most recently what has happened, we have broken this high retrace, broken the low retrace, giving us that we're going, evidence that we're going to be range bound. You can see we got the range, we broke the low, formed double wicks and retraced aggressively. Then we broke the high, retraced, broke the high, retrace. So at this stage, for me, I'm not really inclined to look at setups. You can see that for me, this is looking very range bound in a sense. We've had this nice little push up, and now for me, we're starting to just stagnate in this area quite well. You can see that we probably would have had a liquidity grab here, seeing as how we reacted with these two candles. And again, now for me, we are breaking the major highs very weakly. So again, for me, what am I looking at on this pair? Well, just if we impulse up, more than happy to look for a nice continuation flag, very high probability to the upside. Same to the downside. If we break the low impulsively, we'll be looking to get involved in a nice continuation flag to the downside. Again, very, very high probability. Now again, we might come up in this ascending manner. If we break the highs, retrace, break the highs, retrace, and see that weakness, I will be looking at evidence to go south. If we impulse down, more than happy to get involved in a nice continuation flag to the downside, okay? If we break the low, with momentum pull at this level, we'll be looking for a nice reversal setup, okay? Very high probability. So again, sitting on my hands, a bit patient, seeing what happens. This pair is looking a little bit more range bound versus the Aussie US dollar. So again, I want to see a lot better price action before I get involved. Seeing as it's NFP and I'm expecting more of a range, it's unlikely that a good setup will occur on this pair. for today. The next pair is the Euro US dollar. As you can see, this is looking and shaping up very, very nicely for a potential setup to go north. But again, I'm not having any expectations. I'm waiting to see what happens next. Like I say, we know with this pair, you tend to have this kind of push down, this kind of descending move, and then we push down again. So again, if we get that, I will be looking to get involved in a nice continuation flag to the south side. Very high probability. If we start to see that corrective nature down at the bottom, I will be looking at opportunities to go back up north. Okay, we've read price action, we've seen this weakness, and while we're on the correct side of the market to take a trade, and we'll be at the very beginning of a trend. Okay, now again, let's look at a little bit more what's happened more recently. Now we can see that we were in this range, and what's happened since then, we've come out into this liquidity area, grabbed the liquidity, but didn't show that real push and that momentum up. Okay, after that, what's happened? Well, we've broken the low, retraced. Okay, and now I think we have broken the low again, got low 098, 085, yes, and now we've just broken the low and could possibly retrace again. But again, it all depends on price action. So for me, again, I wasn't looking at a setup here, especially because we could have just broken the low and retraced, and like we did. But again, we are starting to form this really nice descending manner. Okay, now what do I look for when I see this? Well, if we start breaking the lows and retracing in really weakly, I will be looking at opportunities to go north. If from there we impulse up, more than happy to get involved in a nice continuation flag. I know these are very, very high probability on this pair. If we break the high with momentum pullback to this level, we'll be looking for a nice reversal setup. Okay, so again, like I say, this is shaping up pretty nicely. Again, I want to see this kind of price action. If this appears on NFP day today, and not around the time of NFP, then I'm more than happy to take it. But again, for me right now, we are breaking the low, retracing, breaking the low, retracing, forming this descending manner. So again, waiting to see what happens on this pair. We can either impulse up, impulse down, or continue to move in this descending correction. If in either one of those scenarios, I'll be looking to take a trade, or we could just, like I say, just range around within here. Okay, so again, waiting for more price action on the Euro US dollar, not looking to get involved in anything, and I haven't really been involved in anything. Next pair is the Euro Japanese yen. Right, as you can see, we were in this range. You can see my low was here. We saw that we took out this liquidity. We couldn't really see any shift in momentum, and then we pushed down. And again, what happened after that? We broke the low, formed a long wick, and retraced aggressively. So again, not looking at any setups. Again, there was an entry here, but again, for me, I think that is the entry. Yes, for me, again, that's not really a high probability setup. We've come from a range. We're pretty range bound most recently. On EJ, this is not a setup that I'm looking for. Again, I would have wanted to see better price action up to that kind of bullet area. Okay, so again, what am I looking for now? Well, now, again, if I zoom out a bit, let's have a look. We are a little bit on the descending, but not a very clear one as the Euro US dollar. So again, this is still kind of free price action, as I like to call it. So for me, we can see that we've broken the low, retraced, broken the low, formed a long wick, retraced aggressively. So again, for me, especially on NFP, I'm anticipating a lot more of a range here, okay, before we get that NFP news at 1:30 p.m. UK time. Now again, if we come down in this descending manner, I will be sitting my hands being patient and seeing what happens next. This is correct to price action showing me weakness. If from there we impulse up, more than happy to look for a nice continuation flag, very high probability. If we break the high with momentum pullback to this level, we'll be looking for a nice reversal setup. Okay, now it's not uncommon, like I say, to get this kind of move down, and like I say, descending correction and impulse down. If we do that, more than happy to look for a nice continuation flag. But again, like I say, with the Euro US dollar, if I start to see that weakness at the bottom, oh, it looks like we've got some missing price action here. If we impulse down and we have this descending correction, I will be looking at opportunities to go north. Okay, so again, not uncommon to see that kind of price action on this pair, but again, for me, this is still pretty much range bound. Okay, you can see even like below here, we would have possibly had some area of liquidity. We are pretty much in a sense going sideways. I want to see something that has very high probability on this pair. Okay, so again, waiting for a lot more price action. It's very unlikely that there will be a trade for me on this pair today. Next pair is the pound. As you can see, we have been pretty range bound recently, okay? There was a setup here. Again, like I said, I did not enter because I wanted to see a little bit more of a range, considering a little bit more of a range after the flag high was created. But again, you can see we're pretty much going sideways. Again, what's happened as we've come up? We've broken the high, retraced, broken the high, retraced, broken the high. Again, not really seeing that much momentum, retraced, broken the high, retraced. Coming up in this ascending manner. Okay, so again, for me, what am I looking for? Well, if, well, actually, from after that, after we've broken the high retrace, we've broken the low retrace, broken the low retrace, broken though with a little bit of momentum, and then after that, what's happened? We've broken the low retraced. Okay, so again, we've kind of moved from an ascending correction into a descending correction. For me, I want to see a lot more movement away from current price action. Okay, so again, if we impulse, I'm more than happy to look for a nice continuation flag to the upside. Okay, same to the downside. If we impulse down, more than happy to look for a nice continuation flag. Okay, now again, this pair does like to produce wider bombs. Okay, so for example, impulse up, pull back, a little bit of a range in between here, and then break the low and go. Again, very high probability. One of the things that I also notice about this pair is that the price action reading doesn't really too much correlate to the direction. Like you can see wicks again here, large wicks on the down move. Again, same here, large wicks on, well, wicks down here. You can see even here we've got long wicks, and this pair really likes to move, but it's only when we actually get those impulsive moves or committed breaks I start to look for those kind of moves. Okay, these are very high probability, and they actually tend to go in the direction despite having long wicks up here and, you know, other bits of pieces in here. As long as we break the low and retrace, again, we start to move in the direction of the continuation flag. So for me, again, we could just get the impulse, pull back, break, pull back and go. Again, I will be looking at a continuation in that sense. Same to the downside, get this kind of price action. Now, again, like I say, it's NFP days. It all depends on how everything forms. But for me, again, it's unlikely to see this kind of high probability price action on this pair due to from my back testing. So again, I'm waiting for more price action. This is very, very range bound. I want to see a lot more impulsive behavior away from this price action before looking to get involved. Next pair is the New Zealand Japanese yen. As you can see, this is pretty range bound as well for me. First sights, this is actually pretty going sideways. You can see that we've just done this essentially. Okay. Now again, in terms of breaking highs, we can see we've broke the higher retraced, broke the higher retrace, broke the low retrace, giving us evidence we're going to be range bound. We've got the range. We broke the low retrace, broke the higher retrace. Again, taking out liquidity down here. Gosh, a lot of people would have had their stops taken out down here. People would have seen that they're in the uptrend, right? You can very easily see that people would have said, okay, we're in the uptrend, time to put our stops below the last low, and it was all taken out from this. Okay, then again, like I say, we've come up, broken the high, retrace, broken the high, could possibly form a retrace, but again, waiting for better price action. Now, like I say, on this pair, I don't really trade flags. I like to see reversals. So for me, if we break the highs and retrace consistently, I will be looking at opportunities to go south. If we break the low, pull back to this level, we'll be looking for a nice reversal setup. Okay. Now again, we may not get that. If we actually retrace, break the high, pull back to this level, I will be looking to get involved in a continuation of a trend. Now why is that? Well, again, we are starting to move up above this kind of area, and we are starting to move correctively, okay? And like I say, with this pair likes to trend correctively, like the Aussie US dollar and the Aussie Japanese yen. So again, I want to see a lot more high probability price action before I get involved in a setup like this, especially considering why, because it's NFP day. So again, that's what I'm looking at in the market ahead. You can see the probability for me setups wise is looking quite low, and I do expect ranges before we enter NFP news. So for me, again, I'm being very, very patient and only taking the very highest probability setups on this day with clear price action. So again, that's what I'm looking at in the market ahead. I hope you guys have a fantastic Friday, and I'll speak to you guys next week.